I'd like to share now with you an exercise that helps people who have a good news, bad news background. And if you are suspicious that you might be, definitely pay attention. But it is also for those who have trouble deciding which way to go or how to define the criteria of the next job. When defining the goal, what we have observed in the last years is that must-have criteria are sometimes ignored for distracting nice-to-have criteria. So instead of focusing on what's truly really important in a job offer, candidates sometimes get distracted by the nice-to-haves as free apples at the reception, cards that you will never use, etc. So here, what's best is to design an objective decision matrix or evaluation tool for offers. So that when you actually, and this what I'll be explaining now will work for what should I do next. And it will also, if you know what to do next, but you receive 3 different offers, it will help you objectively assess which of those 3 offers is the best. Exactly. Good. So, first step, make a list of 10 to 15 criteria or elements that are important to you in your next role. For example, that you don't want to be an expert anymore, you want to start managing people, or you want to finally be on the board. You want a good salary. You want to have a boss that manages by objectives, so gives latitude. You want to change industries. You want to have nice peers, and you want to commute 15 minutes because why waste so much time and commute for an hour? So this is the first step. In other words, you prepare your ideal job ad that if you apply to, you would receive. Second step, define those criteria in more detail and add opposites to those points. So we then go back and say managerial role, what does that mean? Okay, minimum 3 people. The opposite would be stay in an expert role. Good salary versus what is the minimum or below what salary wouldn't you even consider working? Boss who manages by objective versus, for example, the opposite, micromanagement. Different industry versus staying in the same industry. Nice peers, opposite, not engaging average peers. 15 minutes commute versus the maximum that you say, okay, I could commute for 45 minutes. And my recommendation, really make sure you have a list of 10 to 15 criteria. Really say, I can define my ideal job. What else? For some, it's location. Defining your goal could include the size of a company, the type of a company, how big it is, the turnover, the types of problems they have, etc., etc. Now, in the third step, you then prepare a table for scoring. So you add them onto a table, and then you go one by one. So you ask yourself, and my recommendation is also not to do it on your own, but with somebody. You ask yourself a lot of questions in the following structure. Imagine you receive 2 offers that are identical and overall okay, but not wow. But they differ in the following. Offer A offers you the position of a manager, but at €2,500. Offer B pays €4,000, but it's an expert role. Which one do you choose? And then either you say, no, being a manager is more important than the money, or you say, no, 4,000 is better than 2,500. So you give a point to the option that you choose. And then you go back and you move to the next pair. Offer A offers you the position of a manager, but your boss is a micromanager. Offer B, you would have a manager who manages by objectives, but it would only be an expert role. Which one do you choose? And again, you score. Either you say, I want to be a manager so much that I don't care for the micromanager boss, or you say, no, I really rather have my freedom and be an expert for another 2 years. And you again do this. And you basically do that for the whole table. So you go 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 15, and then 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, 2, 7, until the very, very end, where you have 13, 14, 15, 14, 15. So this is an exercise that can take between 1 and 2 hours if you do it properly. Step number 9, you then summarize which of the criteria actually won. So your objective must-haves. Usually, when doing the exercise, you will come up with 3 to 5 must-have criteria, which means that once we have that, we can put the winning criteria onto another table and say, okay, it turns out that the 3 most important things currently are the type of boss, 15-minute commute, and to be a manager. And then when you have and here it's either the career paths or the actual offers, and you start grading. Okay, if I decide to take that offer, this is the boss, this is the commute time, this is the managerial role. Very important, before you start qualifying the objective must-haves, define what the scale from 1 to 10 actually means. So to say managerial role at 10 would be more than 10 people, and 9 would be 5 people, 8 would be so many people, etc. So very, very rarely do we really have 0, 1 or 1, 10 situations. So before you start qualifying, define what is a 10 boss, what is a 5 boss, what is a 1 boss, 15-minute commute is a 10, what is 20 minutes, what is 35 minutes. And then start assessing. And you can do the same thing with the career path. So you can work backwards and say, okay, now that I know the 3 to 5 must-have criteria, which roles, positions, companies would give me what I currently need the most. So you can work backwards as well and deduce the next career path based on that as well. Step number 12, you then calculate and say so out of 30, here it would be 30 points. Option number 1 would receive 24 points. Option number 2, 19. And our recommendation again is to consider offers starting at 75%. Having said that, it also indicates once you actually are in a offer received starting negotiation situation, it also shows you what's worth negotiating for. Did you say, well, you can go back and say, listen, I actually don't need those nice to haves, which have a certain value. Why don't we move those nice to haves, and why don't we can't I work from home 2 days per week, or could I increase the number in my team by another 2 people by the end of the year? So it also indicates what's worth negotiating for from your professional satisfaction. I hope that makes sense. So here again, just to summarize, nice to have distract often unnecessarily. You can focus on what's really actually important. It points out actual weaknesses of the offer. You know what to focus on when negotiating. You can direct your job search from the very beginning more precisely if you're clear on your must-haves. We do see that often candidates looking for a job that they think they want, but actually there are things that are much more important to them.
Hi, you have just watched a little fragment of all the know-how at Career Angels that goes into finding the best possible job. we have decided to put our know-how into one very thorough and structured course that is now available on Udemy. In that course, we will walk you through all 4 steps of the job hunting process. Step number 1 is about goal setting, realistic goal setting. We will explain career management theory backed by research, as well as walk you through the parameter bidding exercise. Step number 2 is about your unique selling proposition. In other words, how you position yourself on the current job market. Step number 3 is about communicating that in your CV for applicant tracking systems, and your optimized LinkedIn profile. Step number 4, the last step, is about managing and navigating the job hunting channels, meaning how to network, how to apply to job ads, how to contact headhunters, and how to contact and reach out to decision makers at the companies you would like to work for. So in summary, the course is very thorough, explains all our methodology, and is now available on Udemy. Summarizing, our course on Udemy walks you through the 4 steps of the job search process. Why did we decide to publish it? We did that so that your own job search becomes less frustrating, faster, and more effective. If you'd like to check it out, find the link down there in the description.